how are you going to make the economy, not just food and electricity, but bring down the rent prices, the housing prices, so that these kids can survive?
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Donald Trump was asked a really, really good question about rent, and like a really heartfelt question as well. I mean, this, like, I don't know. We'll play this clip and then we'll react to it, because this guy really seems like, like, I'm having a hard time. I trust you, Mr. President. Like, what can you do? I mean, really pouring his heart out to this guy and expecting that the person on the other side cares. Let's listen to this.
What are you going to do about bringing down the rent and things like that in the economy? Because out of 8 children that I'm a father and a stepfather to, 5 of them are struggling, and I'm giving them part of my income on a regular basis. How are you going to make the economy, not just the the food and electricity, but bring down the rent prices, the housing prices, so that these kids can survive and without their parents' help?
Such a good question, Mr. President.
You're right. I hear it very well. And I tell you, first of all, I love the people that you're with. I know that I must have at least 99, perhaps 100% of all of them. And I think they're incredible. We are going to drill, baby, drill. We're going to bring down the cost of energy. Energy is what caused the worst inflation, I think, in the history of our country. Food prices are up 50%, sometimes more. You look at bacon. Bacon is quadrupled. You can't order bacon. You can't order anything. We're living horribly. We have the worst inflation we've probably ever had in our country, and it started because of energy. We're going to drill, baby, drill, and then we're going to have China and all of these countries that were treating us good when I was there toward that. I mean, it took me a long time to get them to behave properly. All of these countries are going to, again, stop. Like 4 years ago, I could ask you, you were in great shape. You had low energy costs. You had low food costs. Everything was good. You could buy a house. You had low interest rates, 2% interest rates. You had gasoline at $1.87. Now it's $5. And by the way, going up very substantially. But you had gasoline at $1.87 a gallon. Nobody talks about that anymore. Nobody even can believe it's going to happen. It's going to happen again. We've got to get the energy prices down, and everything else is going to be tumbling down with it, the prices.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, just totally not acknowledging, the real kind of suffering that this guy and the real issues that this guy is having. And, the immediate thing that he's like, oh yeah, these people support me. Isn't that great? I mean, just, I don't know, just so gross. And, no doubt that inflation on energy is an important part to the general economic woes, but he was talking specifically about rent. He was talking about rent, right? And there was just absolutely nothing there from Trump because he does, he doesn't care. He doesn't think about this kind of stuff. He doesn't care about the type of stuff that working people have to deal with. And so he does not have a plan to deal with rent nationwide. He just doesn't, because he doesn't care, right?
Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
Yeah, very frustrating, like the immediate narcissistic pivot, and yeah, it was a lot of stuff thrown in there, but nothing about actually addressing rent, addressing corporate landlords, slumlords, the speculation in the housing market by these private equity firms, all this kind of stuff that's driving up prices. There was some stuff that, circled around the truth, right? There was enough truthiness to some of the statements to maybe hit for some people, because it is true that food prices have gone up and gas prices have gone up, and so that that's accurate. But again, it's not rent. it's not really addressing the matter at hand, yeah. So it's always just bizarre to hear one of these clips from him.
And now, look, obviously we're critical of Biden. We don't think he's perfect or anything even close to that. But he has recently come out with something about rent. Just like in the last week or two, he came out with a plan calling on Congress to pass legislation presenting corporate landlords with a basic choice: either cap rent increases on existing units to no more than 5%, or lose valuable federal tax breaks. So, there's kind of like a interesting utilization of the strings that government has there. But on a nationwide level, there is only so much that a president could do on his own. And that's a real thing, right? I mean, that is, is that going to help all or even most of people's rent problems? No. But that's something. That is at least an answer.
Yeah, I mean, I'll push back a little in the sense that it's 2024. I mean, it took you 4 years to work on this, and your big solution is I'm going to call on legislation from Congress. Well, I mean, let's be honest. How much legislation comes out of Congress, especially anything that remotely deals with checking the power of corporate influence? So, I mean, that's like a little like me saying that's my plan if I were president. I could also say that. Well, I'm also calling on Congress to do this. So we'll just see who gets their wish, if Mayor Biden makes it happen first. But to your point, it is a policy that's on the table that is at least, in the right direction. So that's something. So I will at least give that much credit. And I do think that housing is a complicated issue because it involves local, state, and federal government. And really, we need lawmakers at all levels engaging with it and checking the power of landlords and corporate influence.
And there are some things that he is doing unilaterally. The Federal Housing Finance Agency is announcing new actions to protect renters in multifamily units financed by loans acquired by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. These protections apply to future loans acquired by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. I don't know what's going on there. Who have financed an average of $1.2 million multifamily rental units over the past 3 years. The protections include requiring a 30-day notice before the rent increases, requiring a 30-day notice on lease expiration, and providing a 5-day grace period before imposing late fees and on rental payments. So there's something, again, not super great, but there's something. But that leads me to the thing that is actually going to be like the solution for renters across the country. And somebody said it in the chat, Will Pina, the solution for high rent is tenants unions. And that's absolutely the case. So there's a recent article in these times called National Tenants Union Has Arrived by Rebecca Burns, that says that talks about a lot of the wins that tenant unions have had across the country over the last few years. So this paragraph in particular is pretty cool. In the last year, the Louisville Tenants Union in Kentucky passed far-reaching restrictions on public funding, contributing to gentrification in Louisville. The Kansas City tenants defeated a billionaire-backed stadium tax in Kansas City. Bozeman Tenants United banned new short-term rentals and elected one of their own as mayor in the Montana tourism hotspot. The Connecticut Tenants Union negotiated a collective bargaining agreement with one of New Haven's largest landlords. And Chicago's Not Me, We won ballot referenda backing a landmark anti-displacement ordinance covering the area surrounding the new Obama Presidential Center. So that's the kind of stuff that I really find a lot of hope in. Obviously, I think that, as it relates to Trump and Biden, at least Biden has something of a answer, even though it's really kind of pitiful and not sufficient. But neither of those are going to be like salvific. The thing is that's going to really change your conditions is coming together with your fellow tenants and doing a union about it. And so these 5 tenant unions from around the country convened on Tuesday to announce the launch of a new national organization to take on the power of multi-state real estate capital. The Tenant Union Federation marks the first major national effort at tenant organizing in 40 years. So that's an exciting development.
Yeah, it really is. I'm glad to see that. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. I would love to see, the movement as a whole really embrace tenant organizing. It's something that was a lot more prevalent in our past, but, in recent generations has not been as popular, I guess. But it does seem like the current housing crisis that so many folks are facing in so many places across the country is really encouraging people to think about this and think about ways, to organize together and collectively to really push back and to demand a better life. And so I'm all for it. I think the more labor unions coordinate with tenant unions, I think the better for all involved. So yeah, I really hope to see these, partnerships and coalitions take off, and would love to see it spread, from city to city and county to county.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.